Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to MSC's Malaysia Cybercentre at Bangsar South City Knowledge Clinic. I'm Vivian from UOA Group, and I am your host for the day. In UOA Group, we have three cyber centres, namely Bangsar South City, UOA Damansara, and UOA Business Park. Behind me on this background here, we have Bangsar South City. We truly understand the needs of an IT company that needs to be located at an MSC status building. We are open for any inquiries pertaining to our cyber centers, and you can scan the QR code over here on my screen to submit your inquiry to us. Today, we are looking at digital transformation. With more and more companies migrated into digital transformation, we often face different types of problems when it comes to connectivity that some companies decided to put a brake to transform. Oftentimes, we do not look into connectivity to only one single cloud, but multiple clouds. Can we have a direct peering to reduce the number of hops in return to reduce your latency? Is there something out there that can help to eliminate DDoS attack? Without further ado, let me introduce you to our first speaker, Haki, from DKIX Europe. Haki is also responsible of establishing partnerships within the industry with cloud service providers, internet service providers, and data centers. Haki has finished studies in the field of classic software development. In his professional career, he was the managing owner of an internet service provider and system house for over 20 years. During his time, his area of responsibility ranged from organizational tasks to sales, product management, and finance. Since shortly after the turn of the new millennium, he has been dealing with cloud strategies, the development, marketing, and sales of both his own as well as purchased cloud services. The focus was on infrastructure as a service and shared services in the communication area. He will be speaking on Demystifying Internet Exchange and Cloud Exchange. Haki, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Vivian. A warm welcome also from my side. Yeah, if I'm listening to Vivian, I'm feeling really old, to be honest. Thank you, Vivian, for that great introduction. Today, I would like to talk about Internet Exchange and Cloud Exchange, and would like to bring you a little bit of an overview and the feeling, what is the difference in between, and what kind of services are, from my point of view, really important if we take a look at the future. So first, I would like to start with a video. Hopefully, it's possible to hear everything.
An internet exchange is essentially a local area network that connects networks instead of user devices. Organizations join internet exchanges in order to control data traffic routing. They don't want to let the internet decide how to route their content. They don't want to pay one big carrier to handle all their traffic. An internet exchange is a marketplace where participating networks agree to hand traffic off to each other, a process called peering, governed by peering agreements, usually contracted on a cost-neutral basis. In an internet exchange, you can reach thousands of companies, networks, and clouds via the shortest path. You improve user experience and network performance with lower latency and higher bandwidth. You increase protection and resilience of data flow. You are safe from DDoS attacks. You reduce costs. You add flexibility and worldwide coverage. Here's where to learn more.
Are you an IT pro? So you need alerts, billing.
So this short overview should give you a brief introduction about an internet exchange. From my point of view, it's really important to understand what is peering, what's the difference between normal IP transit. Is IP transit enough or not enough? Yeah. So the question is more or less, what are the real differences in between? The first two slides are about the differences because of it's so important to understand. Yeah? A short summary, what is the difference between peering and transit? So if a network would like to communicate with another network, you need something in between. Yeah, you know, internet is working totally fine. So you have your router somewhere in place, and you would like to read newspapers or like to watch YouTube videos or doing Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You need a transport in between. And normally you can say, okay, I will do it via transport provider, transit provider. Yeah. So you're going from your private router to an internet service provider, and the internet service provider is connected somewhere to a transit provider. Yeah. So that's totally fine to receive data. But what does it mean? It costs a lot because of the network on the left side and the network on the right side needs to pay for the transit. Yeah. So it's more or less a paid version, yeah, of allowing network to network communication, yeah, which needs to be paid by the internet service provider, which means more or less at the end of the day, you as customer, you as enterprise need to pay for it via your ISP. And if we compare it with peering, it's a little bit different. Why? Because of peering goes that kind of point that in the middle is an internet exchange, yeah, where all the networks are connected, like the ISP, like Netflix, like Amazon, like Google, or everyone. Yeah. The idea behind transit is that at one centralized point, every single ISP and every single from the big players, yeah, every content service provider is exchanging the data free of charge, more or less. Yeah, that means in the middle, it's possible to exchange the data without paying that the ISP one needs to pay to Google, needs to pay to AWS. So it's just the accessing costs, yeah, to consume the data from the internet exchange. Yeah. So, but the point is at the end, DKIX at a glance, why is it so important not just to be in one single destination? Because of there's a lot of content from the international big ones like Facebook or now Meta, like Google, like Microsoft and everyone, and they all want to push the data to the customers. And therefore they are looking for internet exchanges to say, okay, I would like to push my data to the Spanish guys in Barcelona. I would like to push the data in Asia from Kuala Lumpur to the guys there. So that means more or less it's necessary to be everywhere as possible. Yeah. And if we take a look at DKIX, we are driving 34 internet exchanges placed over the whole world. Some really big ones, some smaller ones, but what we see, it's everywhere growing and growing and growing. So we have at the moment more than 2,500 networks connected, more than 500 data centers over the whole world with 94 terabit of capacity. Yeah. So the reason why we are creating such an ecosystem is it's necessary for enterprises, it's necessary for data centers, it's necessary for the content providers to have an independent ecosystem. What does it mean, independent? Independent means, from our point of view, that we are not a data center. We don't care if a cloud service provider or content network is in the data center provider A or B or C. We are trying to be everywhere. And we are trying to be carrier neutral, which means more or less without looking at who is connecting with whom. So we are open network, and our plan and our ideas to have the independency, yeah, to connect in the same way like internet is independent. Yeah? And we are talking about an ecosystem. Yeah? But the point is, at the end, Is it more of the same? Is it more of the same if we talk about cloud exchange, peer with cloud service provider, trying to achieve better routes to services like Microsoft 365? So what is the difference between the kind of connectivities? And here I would like to jump a little bit into the topic of the hyperscalers and the topic of how is the cloud market growing and working. Yeah, and I ask myself the question: are the hyperscalers taking over the market? Yeah? And here I have some numbers from the Cisco Global Cloud Index, where you can see on the first topic that the hyperscaler data centers are growing. Now, what is a hyperscaler data center? A hyperscaler data center is a data center of where one of the 24 big hyperscalers are in. Yeah? Who are the big hyperscalers? They are doing a lot of revenue. They are having a lot of customers. They are doing a lot of advertising and that stuff. So more or less, the big hyperscalers are AWS, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Alibaba, and so on. Yeah? These are the big ones. And if we take a look how many data centers we can see over the time, yeah, we can see that the hyperscaler data centers are growing, which means more or less more and more hyperscalers are going out to the market and trying to be somewhere at the edge to deliver the customers a perfect experience with a low latency. Yeah? And the second graph is quite important as well. If you take a look at the numbers, you can see that 53% of all servers, yeah, are in hyperscaler data centers. Nearly 70% of all processing powers is in data centers where hyperscalers are in, which means more or less the hyperscalers are hosting and having the most powerful infrastructure. Yeah, this is really, really important to understand that a lot of power is really in the hyperscaler data centers. But important for me as well is to take a look at the workloads, yeah, to differentiate a little bit between consumer and business workloads. Yeah, what is a consumer workload? It's totally the searching, the social networking, video streaming, and all that stuff. Yeah, and you can see in light green, more or less from the consumer workloads, nearly everything is running in the public cloud. And quite interesting, if we take a look at the business segment, yeah, we can see the dark green values. This means this kind of workloads are running in private clouds, not public clouds. Private clouds means more or less somewhere in a data center hosted by a local company, somewhere maybe on premise. Yeah? And we see there's still a huge demand for business workloads running in the private cloud. But on the other hand, still we can see around 60% in example, if it comes to compute, is running in the public cloud. So we do have here a match where we can see there are a lot of workloads running in private cloud, but still a lot of workloads running in public cloud. And the trend is cloud. You have heard a lot of times our strategy is cloud first. We're trying to put everything into the cloud, but it's a process. Yeah? From my point of view, it's a process which will take years. Yeah? But more and more workloads are running in the cloud. The next slide is about the traffic volume. Yeah? And this is really, really interesting because of the blue one is the business traffic volume, yeah? And the yellow one is the consumer volume. We can see that the consumer volume is increasing faster than the business volume. What does it mean? That means more or less more and more data pipes are used by consumer traffic, by search, by videos, HD, 4K. It's growing, it's growing, it's growing. So if we take a look at Netflix or other streaming providers, we can see more and more streams are running out with high quality. High quality means a lot of data. Yeah. But what does it mean at the end of the day? Yeah. It's more and more traffic, it's more and more streaming, it's more and more private, and less capacity at the end for business. That's more or less the conclusion of that. And that means we need to differentiate between IP transit, between peering, between cloud traffic, between all that stuff. And that is really, really important. It's looking like the same because of IP is IP, and everything ends up at the router and the switching infrastructure, but you need to differentiate the traffic. And if we take a look in the future, it's getting more and more important because of the work streams are running into the cloud. And so it's really necessary to have the good connectivity to the cloud. Why? Because of enabling the work of your employees working on a work stream which runs in the cloud. And therefore, we as DKIX started to create different kind of services. They are looking similar, like the same as I mentioned before. Yeah, we started in the past 26 years, meanwhile ago, with peering services. Yeah, to exchange data everywhere where it's possible, just to say, okay, I receive your data, you receive my data, to enable a good kind of latency for the connected networks. And then we started with more and more services like virtual PNI, which means the connectivity between two networks via VLAN. Yeah? Then we started with direct cloud. Direct cloud is the service where it comes to the point where you can get your own dedicated connectivity, yeah, to the cloud service providers, which means it's like a fixed line between your router in the enterprise infrastructure to the cloud service provider, where you have your own infrastructure there. Then we started with additional services like Microsoft Azure Peering Service, a service which allows the best performance to Office 365. It's important to get the team sessions up and running and to have a quite good quality there. So it's really, really important to have that service. And there are a lot of new services coming, like cloud routers, like closed user group, like enterprise interconnection federation. So a whole bunch of different services, and more or less every single service is based on the same technology. It's a little bit of layer 2. Yeah, which is the dedicated path to somewhere, and on top of it, a little bit of layer 3, which is more or less the routing between the services. Yeah? A closed user group, just one sentence here to leave, is something like your own internet, where you can do a federation, where you can do your extranet with partners which are connected at DKIX as well, or which are connected via partners or last mile providers to DKIX. And so therefore you can set up your closed environment for services and partners. And why is the ecosystem growing so rapidly? Yeah, you can see our internet exchanges, you can see the networks, you can see the data centers, but why is the story of DKIX so successful? Yeah? The successful plan is, and our idea is, the ecosystem, yeah? The independent ecosystem. And the point is, you can join to the ecosystem in different roles, in different kind of ways. It's on one hand a new geographical interconnection exchange region, which means more or less something like a red dot here to say, okay, there is a new POP which will be created somewhere where it makes sense to have an exchange with a lot of networks. There's the possibility for data centers to connect directly to a DKIX exchange region. It's called in our environment DKIX Premium Enabled Site, which ends up in that way that it's possible to connect there to the DKIX environment. you can connect via partners and they transport you to our platform, or you can connect as a direct cloud certified data center, which enables the customers in the data center to connect to the clouds. And on the other hand, we do have a lot of cloud service provider or internet service providers which connecting to the DKIX platform to get the bunch of services there to enable their customers for getting cloud connectivity, to educate their customers for the whole BGP setup. We do have transport partners, and there is a whole bunch of different ways how to join the ecosystem. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. I will hand over here at that point to Weng, and I'm still there for some questions later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haki. Awesome. With the development of traffic volume, it is not just about peering and not just having transit provider. What's next? Now, I would like to invite the next speaker, Weng, who will continue to tell us more about Internet Exchange. Weng is a member of the Board of Management of DKIX Malaysia and Singapore. A serial entrepreneur, Weng has founded Extreme Broadband, which is an ISP, OpenDC, a data center operator, and most recently, JBIX. With the recent joint venture with DKIX Asia, he has assumed the role of the member of the management board. An engineer by training, Weng graduated with an electrical and computer science engineering degree from Swansea University in the UK, and later completed owner and president management program at Harvard Business School. Weng has worked in Newbridge Networks, Alcatel Taiwan, and Malaysia for about 10 years before launching his first startup Extreme Broadband EBB in 2005. To date, he is still maintaining his position as Managing Director of Extreme Broadband and OpenDC. Weng has a deep passion in developing connectivity infrastructure in the region and is a frequent contributor to the Regional Internet Forum. He will be speaking to us on the benefits of Internet Exchange and Cloud Exchange. Weng, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vivian. A big thanks to Haki as well for introducing the concept of Internet Exchange. Now, with the foundation set by Haki just now, many of you who are the enterprise users, you may be wondering, as an enterprise users, how do you take advantage of an Internet Exchange and a Cloud Exchange? So my presentation today is focusing on introducing to you the ideas of IX and CX to an enterprise. I will be presenting to you a few case study to illustrate how an enterprise users can make use of the IX and CX for its digitization process. First of all, let me quickly do a quick recap on the benefit of Internet Exchange. Like what Haki has explained just now, the idea of an Internet Exchange is to gather all the networks together and allowing them to exchange traffic with settlement free, meaning that they don't have to pay each other to exchange traffic. So when you put everybody together and connect to an Internet Exchange and allowing them to exchange traffic, so these collections of networks together form a very powerful ecosystems. And this is the kind of ecosystems that are powering the current generation of the internet today. So there are many Internet Exchanges all around the world. In Malaysia, DKIX is the first privately owned Internet Exchange, which operates with the goal to welcome any networks who needs to peer to join. So meaning that we don't set any criteria for anybody. We don't set any, there's no barrier for anyone to join an internet exchange. So this created a very unique opportunity for the enterprise users who before this do not really have a chance, because internet exchange traditionally has been reserved as a tool for the service provider, the telco, the ISP, you know, the big cloud players. So for enterprise players, yeah, they have not been offered this kind of opportunities until today. So my agenda today is to explain to you why should you consider joining an internet exchange. First, let me just explain a little bit about what is the benefit of an internet exchange to customers like yourself. First of all, by joining an internet exchange, you are able to peer directly with all the networks that are also connected to the internet exchange. So in essence, you will be participating in this settlement-free peering, and you will be able to exchange traffic freely with all the participants. And our participants include some of the big cloud players. For example, these networks that you see in the diagram here. So these are all the participants who have connected to the DKIX Internet Exchange. So by joining DKIX Internet Exchange, you will have a chance to peer directly with them, to connect directly with them, and to exchange traffic directly with them. Okay. Now, why do you want to connect directly to them? Well, many of you, if not all of you, probably are using an ISP to connect to the internet, right? So why do you want to peer directly with all this content or all these networks that are connected to the internet exchange? One of the key driver to that is you probably want to reduce the number of hop counts for you to connect to the destinations. So today, if you are connecting through an ISP, the chances is, you know, all your traffic will traverse through the ISP network to reach the destinations. If the destinations is, for example, like Google, so the ISP will provide you the transit to Google. Like what Haki explained a while ago, if you go through a transit network, the chances is you have to pay someone to provide the transit service to you. But if you are connected to an internet exchange, you can then peer with the content players such as Google, and then you are able to exchange traffic with Google directly, settlement free, which means you don't pay them for the traffic that you send to them, and they don't pay you. Pay you for the traffic that they send to you. So both sides engage in a settlement free peering. So by doing that, not only that, you know, you can enjoy settlement free traffic exchange, you will also have a lesser hop count for the traffic that you send to, for example, Google. Okay, so this kind of a enhancement in the connectivities is the main driver behind the uptake of internet exchange services. Because whether you like it or not, today the internet service have already advanced to a stage where speed is probably not an issue anymore, but the concern is now being focused at the latency. So the latency meaning every time when you click the button to buy an items in the e-commerce portals, how fast can the transaction be completed? So this is what we call the latency. So nowadays, you know, with the 5G coming to become the norm, latency is the new currency. So how fast that you can complete a transactions will determines whether your digital business is successful or not. So so by joining the internet exchange, you will have a chance to directly connect to the networks, to other networks, thereby reducing the latency to connect to the remote end. and with that you have a chance to reduce the latency of your business transaction with your end users, and this will give you the competitive advantage. To many fintech companies, this is probably something that is not foreign to them, because when we talk about credit card transactions, the latency is also very, very crucial. Okay, so by joining the Internet Exchange, you will have a very good chance of reducing the hop count and thereby lower the latencies to your content. And if you are a content provider, then you will have a lower latency to the eyeballs, and which is something very, very significant, especially for the fintech companies. Okay, now another advantage that you will also get is you will be able to add a layer of network resiliency to your existing ISP connectivities. So it's important to note that the IX is not a replacement of your ISP service. It's a service that will complement your current internet service that you subscribe from your ISP. So by having the Internet Exchange connectivities, you are adding a layer of resiliencies on top of your ISP connectivities. So anything that happens to your ISP link, your connection to the Internet Exchange will act as a backup to your internet service. So this will help to offer you another layer of resiliencies. And then, of course, you also, by joining an Internet Exchange, you will also be adopting a future-proof solutions that you can easily cater to the changing needs in the industry. For example, when there's when the industry moves towards IoT or IR 4.0, the industry players will also be looking at ways to reduce the latency, and many of them will then be joining the Internet Exchange to look for a way to reduce the latency. So your investment into setting up a connection into the Internet Exchange will only grow in its importance over time when more players come to join the Internet Exchange. Okay, so this is a short overview of what kind of a benefit that you can get by joining an Internet Exchange. Now, I also want to quickly highlight a few FAQ about Internet Exchange. There's first of all, an Internet Exchange is there to bring about a performance enhancement to your existing internet service, as I explained a while ago. So in order for you to take advantage of the Internet Exchange, there are certain components that you need to add to your networks to make it work. I will explain what are these components in a short while. Okay, so at most of the time, you will be able to achieve some form of a cost saving. Now, this will be dependent on how much how do you connect to the network today. But in most cases, almost all the cases, the network that peer will end up getting some form of a cost saving. Now, it's also important to highlight that an Internet Exchange is not a replacement of your internet service. So you still need an internet line to access to the rest of the internet. While the Internet Exchange link will allow you to peer directly with many of the networks that are connected to the Internet Exchange. For those networks that are not connected to the Internet Exchange, you still need to have an internet line for you to connect to the rest of these networks. So that's why it's important to take note that your Internet Exchange connectivity is not a replacement of your internet service. Okay. Now, let me bring up one of the case study for enterprise users. So typically for enterprise users, the form of the method that you use to connect to the internet DIA will be one very common method that enterprise use. DIA stands for Dedicated Internet Access. For typical enterprise, they will have a network equipment known as a routers to connect to the internet through a DIA service. Now, how does the internet exchange come into the picture for this enterprise who already have a DIA service? So the way it works is the internet exchange link will come in to complement the DIA service. So as you can see from this network, from this diagram here, the DKIX connectivities, your connectivity to DKIX will complement the DIA service that you currently use, so that for any types of traffic that you send out, the router will decide whether is there a route to reach this network through the peering link. If there is, then it will send the traffic through the peering first. Any traffic that does not reside in the internet exchange, then it will be diverted to the DIA service. So this is typically how it works. So the DKIX connections, essentially it brings to you a lower latencies to connect to all these networks that are already in the internet exchange. And then it can bring you the cost effectivity there. And then I think one very important aspect is you get to control the connectivity yourself. So you get to decide, okay, I want to connect to Google. Can I can send my traffic through the peering, through the DKIX internet exchange, or I can send traffic to Google through my DIA line. So you have the options, to decide which way to go. And this is what is very powerful about the peering activities, because it's essentially you are doing DIY for your connectivities there. Okay. Now, what about for cloud exchange? Let me also give you a use case about the cloud exchange, because DKIX, one of the unique feature of DKIX Internet Exchange is we also incorporate a cloud exchange in our as part of our standard services. So through the DKIX Cloud Exchange, you are able to connect to all the public cloud players. In the example here, I have illustrated the three common ones: the Google Cloud Exchange, the Google Cloud, Azure, and AWS. So so as an enterprise users, if you want to connect if you want to have a dedicated link connecting to these public cloud players, you could opt for an express route, a direct connect, or a dedicated interconnect with the public cloud players, and you can subscribe the service from the telco as well. Now, another form that you can use is to connect to the DKIX Internet Exchange, and through the Internet Exchange, then you connect to all these cloud players. Now, what is the benefit of that? Now, first of all, you get to save by having one connection to the internet to DKIX. Then that one connection can cater for multiple cloud players. So if you were to go with a typical telco, then the chances is they will want you to buy separate link to connect to individual public cloud providers. But with DKIX, your one connections to DKIX will allow you to connect to multiple cloud players at the same time. So if you are adopting a multi-cloud strategy, this will be a very, very cost-effective and extremely efficient solutions that you can use. Okay, and we allow you to connect to the public cloud by using just a simple VLAN cross connect. And the VLAN cross connect, you can actually subscribe for the capacity that is suitable for you. For example, you may have a 1 gig connections to DKIX, and then of these 1 gig connections, you can opt for 100 meg to Google Cloud, 100 meg to Azure, 500 meg to AWS. So you can pick and match the kind of a capacity that you need to connect to different cloud players according to your needs. So it's extremely flexible there. And then we also have on-demand instant circuit deployments. So in the event that you have an urgent needs to increase, for example, Azure from 100 meg to 500 meg, you can just subscribe an on-demand circuit upgrades, and then immediately you will be able to enjoy the higher speed. And then now we will not stop there with only the 3 cloud players. So DKIX in Europe, they are connected to over 40 cloud players. So in Malaysia, we are actively building more our cloud exchange ecosystems to encourage more cloud players to join us. So you will definitely be able to see more cloud players coming on board, not just in Malaysia, not just in Kuala Lumpur, but we are also connected in Singapore. So in the event that you want resiliencies, for example, you want to connect to Azure in Kuala Lumpur and Azure in Singapore for resiliencies, we are able to let you connect to both locations using one common circuit connecting to the internet exchange. Okay, so this is the use case for the cloud exchange. What about a very unique service that DKIX is also offering is known as the Microsoft Azure Peering Service. So this is a product that DKIX developed in collaboration with Microsoft, and in fact, this is a service provided by Microsoft. Now, essentially, this service is known as MAPS, the Microsoft Azure Peering Service. The abbreviation is MAPS. So for MAPS service, it allows an enterprise users to connect to Office 365 through a dedicated link with an SLA provided by Microsoft. So the advantages that you can get from them is, first of all, you get to peer directly with Microsoft 365, and many of you who are users of Microsoft Office, you would know that for enterprise users, you cannot well, before MAPS, you are not the only way that you can connect to the Office 365 is through the internet. Now, if you are connecting to the internet, the chances is you will not have an SLA for this connection to Microsoft. So with MAPS, you now will be able to have a connection to Office 365 with an SLA provided by Microsoft. Okay, so this is one very unique features that are provided by DKIX. Now, through these MAPS connections, you will have very fast connections to the Microsoft POPs in Malaysia and Singapore. So again, you get to choose whether you want to connect to Malaysia or you can connect to MAPS in Singapore. So or you can connect to both at the same time for resiliency purposes. Okay. So now again, the SLA is actually provided by Microsoft. So meaning that you will be engaging directly with Microsoft for this service. Any outages, Microsoft will be able to provide you with the SLA there. Okay. So DKIX is an internet exchange platform that provide you a connectivities to Microsoft MAPS service. Okay, but this MAPS service is a direct Microsoft product, and the service is developed in collaboration with DKIX. So DKIX is only the platform provider to connect enterprise users to the Microsoft MAPS. Okay. Now, through this MAPS connectivity, one very unique advantage is you are no longer connecting through the internet, so you don't need to worry that this link will be under attack by DDoS. So it's a highly secure connectivity, and because Microsoft will peer with you in the DKIX Internet Exchange, and through these peerings, you can. So it's a private peering that you have with Microsoft directly. So it's highly secure and it's DDoS free. Okay. Just to summarize, all the use case that I've described just now. So your connections to the internet exchange give you a direct connection to the networks and the clouds with the lowest possible latency. For those businesses who require connectivities to public cloud, to host your workloads, so this will be a very interesting options in additional to what the telco are providing to you today. Okay, so it improved the connections to all the major cloud players, Google, Microsoft, AWS. But now, with more on the way. Okay, it gives you a very stable connections because you will be able to decide, whether you want to connect to the cloud players in Malaysia or Singapore or both for residency purposes. Okay, and you have very good securities. Because this is a dedicated link. You are not connecting to the cloud through the internet. Lastly, it gives you a very scalable platform because within our internet exchange, the way that we offer our service is by allowing you to subscribe for our port services. So we have 1G port and a 10G port. So you subscribe for the 1G port, and then on top of the 1G port, then you activate the services in the 1G port. Okay, so it gives you a very high, very flexible options to upgrade on your your connectivity to the cloud on demand. Okay, now lastly, this is now for those who are interested to start peering. What do you need in order for you to start peering? First of all, you need to take a look at your routers and make sure that your routers is a BGP capable router. BGP is a routing protocol that allow you to start peering with all the networks in the internet exchange. So you need to take a look at your existing network infrastructures and check whether your router is BGP capable. You will need to have a BGP capable routers. Now, once you sorted out the hardware, the next thing that you need is a Pinnacle membership. The membership will allows you to obtain a block of dedicated IP address. And so this block of IP address will be assigned by Pinnacle to you, and this IP address will represent your presence in the internet. And then other than that, you will also need to have something we call the asynchronous systems number, AS number. So this number represents your network in the internet space. So after you have obtained the IP address and the AS number, you can then start to commence peering in the internet exchange. Okay. Now, I think another aspect that I would also encourage you to consider is to conduct an internet assessment of your network requirements. So I guess the one very important questions that you need to ask, whether do you need low latency connectivity for your business? Because whether you like it or not, the peering involves a lot of network changes in your existing IT infrastructures. Whether does it make sense for you to make all the changes or not? So this is something that you will need to have an internal discussions to answer that questions. What peering brings to you, the most important aspect is the low latency connectivities. Is this something that you need for your business? Okay, and then another question is, how much traffic do you have? Because now, if you the way peering works is you will be constantly having engagement with all the networks in the internet exchange. You will be asking the other side of the networks to set up a peering with you. Now, the other side of the network, they will always be checking. Okay, how much traffic do I have with you? Does it make sense for us to start a peering service or not? So so always have take a look at the traffic volume that you have, because this will determine also whether are you able to get a very smooth negotiation with the other side of the networks. Okay, and the third questions that you need to ask is, do you have an IT person to handle peering? Because again, peering is an activities that are not very common among the the enterprise IT industry. For you to find someone who is familiar with peerings, it may be a bit challenging, but then DKIX, we have a lot of training program, and then we make available a lot of training resources in our website to help you get up to speed on doing peering. But still, it's a questions that you need to ask whether you have the IT people to handle that. Okay, so I hope I have given everyone a quick glimpse of how you can make use of the presence of Internet Exchange and Cloud Exchange to enhance your connectivity. I am happy to take questions coming up. Now, for those of you who are wondering, okay, so peering is interesting, but who can I get when I join DKIX? What are the networks that I can peer with when I join DKIX? Now the answer is here. If you just scan the QR code on the left, you will be able to open the our participant list, and then you will be able to see the list of networks that are currently connected to DKIX. So then you will be able to make an assessment if peering is right for you. Okay. Now I'm happy to take some questions. Is there anyone?
Yes, there are a couple of questions here. One,
yep.
Is Microsoft team part of DKIX already?
Yeah, Microsoft, they are very committed to joining us. They are now connected to us in Singapore, and then Malaysia. They have also connected in Cyberjaya with our Cyberjaya nodes, and we are in the process of enhancing to bring in more services from Microsoft into our platform. So Microsoft is a good supporter of our initiative here.
Yeah, sorry, that was a question from Jeff Chui. We have another question here from Angela Q. Her question is, do I have control over who could connect with me?
Absolutely. Yes, I think this is very important questions. Yeah. So definitely you want to have control of your network. And you want to be able to control who get to connect to me, who not to connect to me. So definitely through BGP, you are able to select who do you want to peer with, and then once you set up the peering, you can even decide what is the IP address that I want to announce to that network. So probably, if you are offer like 4 block of a set 24 IP addresses, you probably don't want all the IP addresses to be announced to the peer. You may want to keep 1 or 2 block to be reserved IP, and you only want 1 block, which is internet facing, to be reachable from the internet. Then you can select only that particular IP address to be announced to your peer. So it's all at your own control. So this is one great thing about peering. It's very much like DIY. Like if you are like a master chef, you can buy your own ingredient to go home. You can cook anything that you like, and this is what peering is about. It allows you to customize the kind of a connectivity that you want for your network. Yeah. So the control of who get to connect to you definitely is the control is definitely in your own hand.
Thank you, Wayne. Christoph has asked if we will provide the presentation to the audience after this event. This presentation is actually recorded, so we will upload to our Bangsar South YouTube channel. Next, we have a question from Suhendra Arianto. Let's say when we establish peering to AWS Singapore? Does it mean that we automatically also get speed and low latency benefit when connecting to servers located in other data centers, for example, Japan and Australia?
Okay, so this is something with regards to AWS, yeah. So I'm assuming that you are referring to the workload that you place in AWS in Japan and Australia. Now, AWS, the regional hub, network hub, of course, is located in Singapore. So even the Malaysia POP, the network POP is ultimately connected back to Singapore. So if you want to connect to AWS in Singapore, yes, you will be able to access to your workload in Japan and Australia through the Singapore nodes. But how the traffic route from Singapore to Japan and Australia is entirely up to AWS. You probably want to talk to your account manager there to ascertain how the routing is done before you commit to this. Because end of the day, most of our customers, they will first of all select a location to put the workload, and then they will engage us to to bring up the DKIX connectivities to the workload at the network POP closest to their workload. For example, if their workload is located in Singapore, some of them they want to have a direct connections to AWS Singapore. At the same time, they also want to connect to AWS in KL for residency purposes. So and this is entirely this is a great solutions that many of our customers are doing today.
Okay. Thank you, Wing. There's another question from Suhendra Arianto. Does Internet Exchange provide seamless failover to our general ISP line in case the peering via IX went down, if it ever did? Is it handled by our router or by the IX itself?
Yeah, thanks. I think that's an excellent question. So obviously, it's very important that your internet service will not be impacted in any way if the internet exchange fail. I think that is a very important consideration. I definitely appreciate that. And the answer to the questions is yes. The routers which runs BGP routing protocol will ensure that the traffic is automatically fail over to your internet provider's line in the event the connectivity from to the internet exchange has failed. So this is a feature that that is built into BGP, and it is something that have been used by all the networks providers all around the world. And the BGP is like the building block of the current internet infrastructures, and it is truly the protocol that ensure resiliencies in our internet infrastructures all around the world. So you can use the same resiliencies that all the network service providers currently use to ensure that your peering connections failure will not impact your network, your connectivity to the internet. So so this is something that again we can help you if you roll out the peering connections. You would like to have someone to advise you on how to configure the BGP for resiliencies, for maximum resiliencies. This is something that we can help you with.
Thank you, Wing. Is there any other questions that we can take? Please raise your hand, or you can ask your questions now. Yeah, I do have a question myself. How do we actually decide where to peer?
I guess it all depends on where your content is located. So first of all, you will need to ask yourself: are you a content provider, or you are just a consumer of the internet service yourself? I mean, basically, what is what we call eyeball users. Are you an eyeball users, or you are content providers? If you are a content providers, typically your content is located in a data center, and you want to put your content as near to an internet exchange point as possible, so that your content can be connected to as many network as possible over as little hop as possible. The natural selections will be the data center where the internet exchange have a presence. So that is if you are a content providers. If you are an eyeball users, for example, you are an enterprise, you consume internet service for your end users, then it doesn't matter where you connect to. We have nodes in KL. We also have nodes in Cyberjaya, so you can connect to either one of those nodes. I think the latency difference will be very little. So most likely you will not see the difference. So then the next questions will be which one is the cheaper options for you to connect to. So you can get you can talk to your service providers, to get a quote on the connectivity to our POP, and then you can do comparisons to see which one will works out to be more cost effective to you.
Great, thank you, Wing. We would like to also hear from you to submit your evaluation to us. The link is located on the right-hand side on the chat room there. Wing, do you have the link to show?
Yep,
yeah.
Here you go.
This is the webinar survey. Please fill it in and let us know what your thoughts are. Do you have any other questions? Please feel free to ask.
Yeah, actually, I like to take questions.
Oh, we have one from, Victor has replied to Suhendra here. Let me read it out to the audience. Suhendra, once your enterprise network connect to AWS nearest edge location via AWS Direct Connect service provided by BigX, your enterprise can connect to VPCs from different regions, Japan or Australia, via Direct Connect gateway service provided by AWS. So anyone else have any questions for Wing? He loves to take questions.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Wing, Bob here.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Yes.
Wing. Yeah. Okay. I'd like to have a question for you. We are using Office 365 and as well as Azure. We are interested, just now we saw your presentation on the Express link between our HQ to Azure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But you mentioned that it can be landed in Singapore as well as landed in Cyberjaya.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, but we understand that the Azure for South Asia is either in Singapore or Australia. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a new zone coming up, Mo.
Oh, where is it?
Malaysia.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Of
Microsoft
course,
is building a new zone.
yeah. Of course, the connection to Cyberjaya will be assumed paid in ringgit, and Singapore is paid in Sing dollar. So my question is, what is the cost difference if you want to pay in Singapore, landed in Singapore or landed in Cyberjaya? Yeah. Any difference in terms of pricing, in terms of services? Yeah.
Okay. I think that's something that I'm not familiar with, to be honest. The pricing is this is something relates to Microsoft. I can only speak in terms of the solutions. I think in terms of cost, probably a quick glance at the Microsoft website will give you the answer there. But if you ask me about whether to connect to Singapore or to connect to Cyberjaya, yeah, my suggestion is if cost is not a concern to you, have both connections. One connect to Cyberjaya, one connect to Singapore, and then over time you will be able to see whether how much traffic that you will have for each link, and then you will then be able to decide whether is it worth your investment to have 2 links or not. And then the other point is also that the connectivities to the Office 365, which is the map service. Yeah, this is something that that is quite unique, and Microsoft do have a charging model on this, which is traffic-based charging models. I heard, and I think my colleague Haki is working with Microsoft to closely define the charging model for the map service.
Weng, should I jump in here?
Yeah,
sorry
sure.
to interrupt.
Okay,
you.
yes, please.
Yeah, wonderful. So regarding maps, just to let you know. So normally, if you use a VPN gateway, or if you use Microsoft Express Route, you need to pay the traffic amount which goes out from Microsoft to you. If you compare it with the map service, in the map service, that kind of traffic is for free. That means you can save money if you use the map service. And the maps is the public internet, especially to Teams, to Exchange 365, to Office 365. So especially to have here the perfect connectivity. On the other hand, the Microsoft Express Route stuff is to get the routes to the Microsoft Azure infrastructure as a service services, which means the virtual servers, the virtual routers, and all that stuff. Yeah? And here it's important to know regarding the costs. You need to know that within one geopolitical region, which is APAC for your region called by Microsoft, the traffic in between the region is for free. That means more or less from the point of Microsoft, it doesn't matter if you do the handover to the Microsoft cloud in KL or in Singapore. Yeah? So the traffic in between in the Microsoft network is for free. Yeah? But important is the handover in KL, yeah, is from my point of view better because of it's shorter and cheaper, because of you don't need to pay the transport from KL to Singapore. Yeah? So therefore you should try always to jump to the clouds in that location where it's possible to be closest to your router. Hope that helps.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you, Haki.
Mo, I hope that answer your questions, at least I think to a big extent. Are you okay with this answer, Mo?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, of course, I just want to mention that if cost is not a concern. Of course, always
Yes.
a concern, yeah.
Yes,
we
yes.
can
I know
discuss
cost
that
is always a concern.
Yeah, we can discuss it
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mo,
All right.
you can sign into our webinar survey here so that I can also connect. So if you say yes to have a one-to-one connection, I will connect you with Wing.
Yeah. Okay. I think we also have another question from Mohan.
We have a question
we are
from Mohan.
using open source VPN services in networks. Does that will block from the IX service as we switch to peering? No. I think it's important to note that our peering service operates at layer 2. So we only exchange traffic packet. We don't look into the VPN or what kind of a traffic that is traversing. We don't look at that at all. So whatever types of VPN service that you run on top of the peerings will continue to run uninterrupted. So we will not look into your traffic, nor will we even keep track on the the source and destination of the traffic. So we operate with extreme privacies, and we do have a very secure connectivity. When you exchange traffic within our internet exchange fabric. Okay, I hope that answers your questions, Mohan.
Do we have any other questions here? Okay, Hendra Aranto have another question here. It's all right if you prefer to answer my question offline, but I'm and possibly others also curious, what's your pricing like? As ballpark figure is fine.
Okay. Yeah, let me share a little bit on the ballpark figure. So currently we operate our internet exchange service in KL and Cyberjaya. We can provide you with the locations of our node. So if you want to connect to us, we operate based on the port subscriptions. For 1G port, we now have a promotions of 750 ringgit per month for a basic port with full port rate on the local VLAN. So this is like a very basic package that you can sign on, to enjoy our internet exchange service. Only 750 ringgit per month.
I have one pressing question. Is DKIX looking into setting up a pub in Bangsar South City?
We are exploring the possibilities, of course. We always open to working with any types of partners. Our goal is to build a better internet, to enhance connectivities between the eyeball networks and the content networks. So we are always constantly looking for partners and new locations where we are able to enhance the connectivity for our customers. So definitely Bangsar South is a very interesting location that we are looking at, because there's a high concentration of the ecosystem players in these locations.
Thank you, Wayne. Jeff Chui have a question for you. Do we need to pay subscription fees to DKIX annually?
It's actually a monthly charges. So there's only one port charges that you need to pay to DKIX. Other than that, there's no other cost incur. You can pay yearly, of course. If you choose to do so, you can pay yearly in advance, or you can pay on a monthly basis upon receiving the invoice from us.
All right. Is there any questions coming from the floor? Okay, I'll count down to 5. 1. If not, then we will do the closing. 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you.
On behalf of DKIX, I truly appreciate Vivian's and Sichun for giving us an opportunity to share ideas with everyone here. I think this is a great opportunity for us to reach out to enterprise players, and we definitely our goal in DKIX Malaysia is to develop as many peers as possible in the coming years. So any chance of encouraging you to become one of the peering networks will be something that we value, and we definitely are looking forward to hearing from you. If anybody are interested to become a peering members, or who wants to discuss further on the possibility to peer, please feel free to reach out to us. We are very happy and we are always ready to talk to you and to advise you on how we can add value to your business.